Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all. Welcome to the 7th lecture from the 6th module. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about the requirements of effective control system or the requirements of sound control system. All alert managers want to have an adequate and effective system of controls to assist them in making sure that events conform to plans. It is sometimes not realized that the controls used by managers must be designed for the specific task and person they are intended to serve. You know that every organization is using some kind of controlling measures to ensure that their activities are going on the desired direction, or the activities performed by the managers or the employees in the organizations are going to achieve the objectives of the organization. While choosing a controlling technique or controlling system for the organization, we need to ensure that that is suitable for ensuring the attainment of organizational objectives. Indeed, if controls are to work, they must be tailored to plans and positions, to the individual managers and their personalities, and to the needs for efficiency and effectiveness. Let's see the different requirements of effective control system. The first one is tailoring controls to plans and positions. All control techniques and systems should reflect the plans they are designed to follow. They should also tailor to positions. That means when we are choosing a controlling technique for the organization or a controlling method for organization, we need to ensure that is suitable for the positions of the or managerial positions in the organization. That means suppose a method that is suitable for the production manager of organizations need not to be suitable for the shop supervisor, or a method that is suitable to control the performance of the sales representative is not going to suitable to control the activities of the finance manager of our organization. So while we are designing or selecting a method of controlling or a technique of controlling, we need to ensure that that is suitable for the position to which we are going to apply that technique. And they need to ensure that the method or the technique used by the organization is going to reflect the plans they are designed to follow. That means the method or the technique used by the or the chosen by the organization should help them to implement the plans of the organization. Okay, then coming to the second point, that is tailoring controls to individual managers. Controls must also be tailored to individual managers. Control systems and informations are of course intended to help individual managers carry out their function of control. That means when we are selecting a controlling technique for the organization, that should be understandable for the person who is going to use that technique in the organization. If the technique is not understandable for the person who is using that means the manager who is implementing that technique over the subordinates, then it will not be a successful controlling technique or a controlling technique that will help them to identify the deviations in the organization. Because what individuals cannot understand, they will not trust, and what they do not trust, they will not use. So when we are choosing a controlling technique for our organization, we need to ensure that the method that is selected by the organization is understandable to the person who is exercising that technique. Okay, then coming to the next point, designing controls to point up exceptions at critical points. The control system must focus attention on key strategic and important factors which are critical to the performance of the organization. Insignificant deviation need not to be looked into. By concentrating attention on important aspects, managers can save their time and deal with the problems in an effective manner. For example, while preparing a cake, 10% excess sugar will not be a problem, whereas 5 to 6% excess baking may spoil the cake and it is not desirable. So, the technique used by the organization should help them to identify the significant deviations from the standards of the organization. Then coming to the next point, that is the fourth point, seeking objectivity of controls. A control system should be effective only when it is objective. That means one that is not influenced by emotions or personal feelings. It should not be subjective, that is something based on the personal feeling. When controls are subjective, a manager's personality may influence judgment of performance. Control should be accurate and unbiased. Suppose an organization needs to ensure that their they are using an effective control system or control technique in the organization, they need to avoid the subjectivity of controls. Then coming to the fifth point, ensuring flexibility of controls. Controls should remain workable in the face of changed plans, unforeseen circumstances, or outright failures. If controls are to remain effective despite failure or unexpected changes of plans, they must be flexible. That means while choosing a controlling technique for the organization, we need to ensure that is flexible for the organization, or that is flexible according to the changes happening in the organization. That may be the changes in the economic policy of the nation, or maybe changes in the demand for the product, or maybe changes in the marketing strategies of the organization. Irrespective of the changes that is happening around the organization, the controlling technique should be flexible for the organization. Then coming to the next point, fitting the control system to the organization culture. To be effective or to be most effective, any control system or a technique must fit to the organization culture. If an organization has given its employees considerable freedom and participation, a tight control system may go so strongly against the grain that will be doomed to failure. On the other hand, if subordinates have been managed by a superior who allows little participation in decision making, a generalized and a permissive control system will hardly succeed. That means when we are choosing a controlling technique for the organization, we need to ensure that is suitable for our organization culture or work culture of the organization. Then coming to the next point, achieving economy of controls. Controls must be worth their cost. Although this requirement is simple, it is often difficult to accomplish in practice. A manager may have difficulty in ascertaining what a particular control system is worth or what it costs. Economy is relative, since the benefits of control vary with the importance of the activity, the size of the operation, the expense that might be incurred in the absence of control, and the contribution the system can make. That means when we are choosing a controlling technique for the organization, we need to ensure that the cost that we need to invest for the controlling technique should be less than the return that is going to given by that method in the organization. Then coming to the last point, that is establishing control that lead to corrective action. Detecting deviation would be meaningless unless one knows where in the organization they are occurring and who is responsible for them. An effective control system must disclose where failures are occurring and who is responsible for them. The control system should also point out what corrective actions are needed to keep actual performance in line with the planned performance. That means while we are selecting a controlling technique for the organization, that should help the organization to correct the deviations that is happening in their organization. Okay, these are the important requirements of a sound control system or the requirements of an effective control system. From this point, you can understand that an adequate control system will disclose where failures are occurring and who is responsible for them, as well as ensuring that corrective action is taken. Okay, thank you.